right. Okay, cool. I can protect my voice. I teach kids, so I'll protect my voice. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Taylor Kelly. I'm here to talk to you guys today, not really about historical Takayama, but my encounter with him. John wanted me to talk about that. So to give you guys some context, I actually wasn't raised Catholic. I was raised in a non-denominational home. That is until my uncle came from Rome, gave my family rosaries blessed by St. Pope John Paul II, and which is awesome. It's incredible. And that same week, I had a dream about kneeling in a church. My mother, who was from Manila, she came. She left her faith when she moved to the United States, and she wanted to suddenly become Catholic again. My father, who was reluctant at first, met the RCIA director, who happened to look just like his mom, who passed away. And that's what brought us to the faith. Now, at the same time, and I got accepted into the church at the age of 11, same age as Takayama, so that kind of also drew me to him as well. When I say I lived in the dojo, I mean I literally lived there. So my parents would drop me off for class at 4 o'clock, and by the way, I was 5 years old when I started training martial arts, and wouldn't pick me up till 9 because they forgot to pick me up. It's because I was a handful. They just needed me to do something all day. So they dropped me off 5 days a week. So I literally lived doing martial arts. Like, that's what I did. However, as I got older and I started to go into college, I started to drift away from my faith. I started to become really lukewarm. Anyone who sees me, they would see me going to Mass, but I wasn't really taking anything seriously. I was just kind of going through the motions. And I got really worldly. So I started pursuing other things. I kind of turned martial arts into like its own religion, and I've met plenty of guys that do that. I started doing that, and for some reason I was getting a lot of random anxiety, and I wasn't sure where it was coming from. I was eating right, I was exercising. I started getting into like Eastern stuff, which helped a little bit, but then at the end it just didn't really amount to anything. That is until one day, one of my teammates, at the time I was training mixed martial arts, he said, "Hey, why don't you compete? You should compete. That'll give you a goal, something to go towards." So I was like, okay, yeah, I'll compete. So I decided, I'm going to start with karate first because I haven't done a karate competition in so long. So I was going to get back into it that way. So I faced my first opponent, and the first opponent I face, I kick him, and he starts like wheezing. And for the first time ever, I felt really guilty about it. And I don't know why. Why do I feel guilty about kicking somebody? This is a competition. We both agreed to do it. So I step back, let him recover, and then the match goes on, and then I barely win. It's like by 1 point. So then the second round, or with the second opponent, I think, okay, I can't be this nice. I got to actually, attack. I face the second opponent. He hits my shoulder, and it dislocates my shoulder. Yeah. And what's worse is I reached for the ground, and then I was like, oh, man, I felt like it was going to pop through my skin. But then luckily it somehow didn't, and it sunk back in place. And it's like pain I cannot describe. I had never experienced that much pain before. And the ref asked me, do you want to keep going? I was like, yeah, I'll keep going, because all my students were watching me at the time. And, I just showed them, like, hey, I can take it. But then I just lose terribly. Like within 30 seconds, in karate, you need a 7-point lead to win. It was 0-7. I basically lost. All my students watched. They were also competing that day too, and a lot of them lost too, because they probably were just horrified at what they saw. And, seeing their instructor fall. But that put me into a really deep depression. And it put me so much that I prayed to God in a way that I hadn't prayed before. I said, Lord, if you exist, because at this point I was borderline agnostic at this point. I said, Lord, if you exist, please help me alleviate this anxiety. But don't just take it away, show me how to do it. And I'm totally open to what you want me to do. So the next thing that happened immediately when I said this prayer, and I can only describe it as like a motherly voice telling me pray the rosary. And then as soon as I entertained that thought, saying I should pray the rosary, another kind of angry, very emotional person came out of me saying, don't do it, it's a bad idea, all sorts of blasphemies, things that I would never repeat. And it was so objectively bad that I realized, wait a minute, this is not me, this is something else. So I ignored that, and I said, I'm going to listen to the nice woman's voice. and do that instead. So I started praying the Rosary, but then I started to find out I'm not really consistent at it. So I asked God again. I said, Lord, if there's any way to make me consistent, show me how. Within a week later, my wife sends me a text. She's the one sitting back there with the camera. And she says, hey, we're getting a dog. And I'm like, okay. And then, this dog is from the shelter, so she has a lot of anxiety, and she won't, she might destroy stuff if we don't take her out for walks. So I was thinking, okay, I have to take her for a walk every day. Nothing else I can do but pray the Rosary. So I started praying the Rosary every day. It turned into a daily habit, turned into getting into mental prayer. I put on my brown scapular again because I lost it when I was 12, and just completely changed me as a person, right? And I think Our Lady did that. Now, going into Takayama, when I went back into training martial arts again, I started to see similarities between the spiritual life and martial arts. And what do I mean? Well, when you do something like pray the Rosary every day, or go to Mass, go to confession, you may not feel great every time, but the more you do that, when temptation comes, you're going to see it coming. You're going to see it coming from a mile away. You're going to be well prepared for it. Just like in martial arts, when I'm drilling, how to defend an armbar, which someone's trying to break my arm, I drill that move over and over so I can see the signs of, okay, this person's about to do this move. I know how to stop it. And I started seeing all these similarities in martial arts. So then I posted in Catholics at DFW Facebook group. I don't know if you guys are in that group. Yeah, a lot of you guys are. I've seen that. So I posted in there and said, hey, I want to start this group called Samurai for Christ. At the time, I didn't know who Takayama was. In fact, I didn't even think a samurai could be a saint because knowing what I know about samurai, they were very brutal people. It's not like how they show it in Hollywood. They did a lot of awful stuff. So I was like, there's no way. So I just decided, okay, I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to create a group where we meet up and kids are going to learn martial arts, but we're also going to do adoration together, go to Mass, talk about virtue, do outreach, stuff like that. And then somebody commented and said, hey, do you know John? And I was like, who's that? And he's like, he has a painting of Blessed Takayama in the Vatican. And I was like, who's Blessed Takayama? This sounds awesome. So I look up on Amazon, I find the book by Father Loris, and it's on Kindle now, luckily, so y'all can read it. And I've read that book in 2 days. And it just touched me so deeply because here's a man who greatly misunderstood, again, like kind of what John was saying, like he's always portrayed as like an evil person. But he was such an example of Christ that he converted so many other souls, particularly Christian samurai. And, every martial artist thinks they're a samurai in some way or another because we practice and we resonate with that. And I meet so many guys who are martial artists who are just, without knowing it, they're practicing a lot of ascetical practices. Like they know how to fast, they know how to push through hard stuff, they know how to go through difficult things, but they're using martial arts as like their ultimate thing when they should be focused on Christ and use those talents for Christ. So I was thinking about that a lot, and one thing that I'm starting in the beginning of May. It's a boys Takayama youth group. If you guys are interested, I do have, it's on the back there. You'll see this flyer here. On the back, it'll have a QR code. We're having our first class on May 4th, Saturday, May 4th, where basically we're going to practice martial arts. I'm going to teach kids how to pray the Rosary using mental prayer, because mental prayer, I think, from what parents tell me, it also helps them focus with a lot of things. So that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you. God bless.